Welcome, Facebook, to this special edition, the StreamYard edition, and special coverage of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial taking place in Manhattan right now. Of course, Ghislaine Maxwell is being purported to be the right hand to now deceased former financier and billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. And so in many regards, as many of my colleagues who have covered this from the story from the very beginning says, this is really round two or part two as we unpack this very sad and sordid story. But it's taking place right now in Manhattan. And I want to welcome in right now, as part of our panel here, legal defense attorney Michelle Suskauer, very familiar to our audience. Welcome, Michelle. Thanks for being with us. Also, the former president of the Florida Bar Association. Appreciate your time. I know you guys are really busy. And of course, my esteemed colleague, former Investigative Contact 5 investigative reporter, my sidekick for so many years, and has gone on to do tremendous things at the national and international level, Tim Malloy, now an author and a novelist and a documentarian, and pulling in all kinds of awards. And we just are very proud.
Forward. Thank you.
I do want to mention as we get started, and we'll talk a little bit more about Tim's contribution to where we are right now, but in a very real way journalistically. Tim was one of two, I would really say, two journalists that from the very outset, the very first inkling that this story was unfolding really in South Florida, right under our noses, Tim Malloy was one of the journalists across the country who sunk his teeth in and never, ever let go. So in a large part, we're sitting here on this day because of the work and dedication and your journalism. So
very generous to say that.
You're a credit to our profession. Thanks, Tim, for being here. But it was a Herculean task to get Michelle Suskauer and Tim Malloy on a schedule that we could do this for you guys. And I'm so excited to be able to kind of cover this because really, this is a remarkable day. It is an incredible trial. It is a day that so many young women who have claimed to be victims of this international Ponzi scheme, this human trafficking Ponzi scheme, they have waited for years to be inside a courtroom and sharing their story. And that is happening actually right now. So before we get started, a jury has been seated. Jury selection, opening statements have already occurred. We are now into testimony. Michelle Suskauer, first question goes to you. With a story like this, with incredible international interest, how is it that you would find 12 jurors to seat and try to seat an impartial jury? This sounds, I can't imagine another trial that has this much notoriety internationally. I can't think of one.
I mean, it's true. And we've seen a lot of very high profile cases over the years, and juries have been seated. But you can imagine hundreds of potential jurors were sorted through and were cut. And so it's possible there was a jury that was seated of 12 and actually, I think 6 or 12 alternates, because this case is scheduled to go for at least, 6 weeks. And so things can happen. But it's not just, have you heard of this? Because of course, how do you not hear of this? It's, have you prejudged it? Can you be fair in listening to the evidence in both sides without having made a decision ahead of time? Because, we're all coming in with our own life experiences, but have you prejudged this? Mm-hmm. And so they were able to seat a jury, and we will see what happens.
Interesting. And as Shannon said, this is Act 2, and it's Act 2 of an American tragedy, a story unlike anything you and I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. No, there's never been anybody like Jeffrey Epstein. There's never been an appalling string of crimes like this on an industrial scale, to our knowledge, ever in modern day. Nobody that connected, no one that evil. So it's really interesting, and a lot of it's on Ghislaine Maxwell. What happens next?
And so her defense team, interestingly, Michelle, I was trying to figure out how would they defend this. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, and certainly innocent until proven guilty. That's the way our justice system works. But there has been a lot of evidence reported, covered over the years, and there's a lot to defend in this.
It's very, very challenging. Certainly, it's very challenging in any kind of case to defend, but especially in this case. And so what we learned from the defense's opening statement, and the opening statement is not evidence, but it's sort of it's a map as to where they expect the evidence to go and laying their groundwork, their puzzle pieces. And what they've said is, look, Ms. Maxwell is a scapegoat, and the real evil person is Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey Epstein is not here because he took his own life, and they want someone responsible. And so it's going to be Miss Maxwell. So again, pointing the finger in any direction other than at her. And they're also going to be pointing the finger at the 4 women who are going to be coming in under, by the way, pseudonyms. And they're going to attack their credibility. And that's a very, very dangerous tightrope to walk on, because a jury can really turn on you if you're not doing that right. And it's very tough. And they're going to bring in at least one expert to talk about possibly false memories, and that their memories have been corrupted over the years by being questioned over and over again, by being having all kinds of information that they've been exposed to. And so that's what they're going to do here.
Money, manipulation, and memory. That's what the defense mentioned in opening statements. They'll build their case on, Tim.
And how far can you throw Jeffrey Epstein under the bus, Michelle? I mean, isn't that going to be part of as well, that she was as brainwashed and certainly as far more innocent than anybody's claiming in court? They're going to throw Jeffrey under the bus.
They're going to say that, they're going to say that she was a victim as well of him. And that she was manipulated. He was a master manipulator. Certainly he can't speak for himself. And that she was used by him to sort of, to do his bidding. And she's going to be pointing the finger at him. Absolutely.
Just a quick reminder to our panelists and everyone out there watching, this is a live forum right now. We're taking your questions in the comments section. So if you have a question or a comment for our panelists, novelist and documentarian Tim Malloy, former Contact 5 investigator who really was at the heart of breaking this, and legal defense attorney Michelle Suskauer, former president of the Florida Bar Association. Thanks so much to the two of you for being here. As we move through this 30 minutes or so, I want to get really quickly to all of those who may not have heard of Jeffrey Epstein, which is hard to imagine, but perhaps you don't know the track record and how we have arrived at where we are at this very moment. Let's take a look at a quick timeline. It'll walk you through and shoot you out the other side on where we sit right now in Manhattan.
Jeffrey Epstein is dead. His ashes here in Palm Beach Gardens, about 20 miles from his Palm Beach mansion. A college dropout, Epstein spent 2 years teaching, then turned to finance. He managed money for the super rich, like Les Wexner, owner of Victoria's Secret. In those circles, he became friends with the rich, famous, political elite, even royalty.
I was recruited at a very young age.
It's a past riddled with claims from then young teenage girls like Virginia Giuffre, who said they were recruited for Epstein, a sort of pyramid scheme of sex crimes. But in 2008, local and state prosecutors cut a deal with Epstein.
Unfortunately, both the state criminal justice system and the federal criminal justice system failed the victims miserably.
10 years later, Epstein was arrested again. On July 18th of this year, he was denied bail, and a month later, put on suicide watch. On August 9th, more than 2,000 documents were unsealed, scathing depositions and affidavits with alleged victims and witnesses. One day later, August 10th, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell.
And so now it is, to your point, Tim Malloy, somewhat round two, if you will, for these women, the alleged victims in all of this, their day in court now as they turn their eyes toward Ghislaine Maxwell and her involvement.
And she's now been in prison, a federal prison, which I've been to in Brooklyn, which is a dump for a year. And she's not committed suicide. She is a tough cookie. She's having her day in court. And as you said before, the young women who were girls at the time finally get a voice. I mean, the drama inside this courtroom right now must be remarkable.
So let's talk about that, because you were there in those first few weeks as the Jeffrey Epstein case was set to go to trial.
Right.
You were inside the courtroom,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
And you reported from the streets, as of course leading up to what we've been told was Jeffrey Epstein's suicide. So did you hear the girls' testimony in these victims' testimony in court? Because the judge did allow that after.
I did not hear the one in particular, Giuffre. On the street, though, they were walking around talking to us.
Sure.
And I had actually interviewed a few of these girls, women back when. So I knew what they were going to say and what they were facing. It was the craziest thing to cover in history, and you and I have covered a lot of stuff, 50 cameras. I've never seen anything like it. And then you throw in all the victims, alleged victims, walking through the camera crews. Total chaos in New York. Same thing's happening up there right now. It is high drama. It is, and it's important that the voices are finally heard.
And it kind of, when you think about right now, some of these women who have brought this case in the state of New York against Ghislaine Maxwell for her alleged involvement in building this human trafficking pyramid scheme is how I've really used to describe what it was, because girls were paid to go out and find other girls and bring them to Jeffrey Epstein vis-a-vis, they allege, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yep.
And so that is what she is on trial for, is being a conduit to Jeffrey Epstein and this international.
And they will
human
specifically say, this woman sitting over there, Ghislaine Maxwell, is the person who told me to go do this.
Right.
And then she was there when this happened to me, meeting the girl.
Correct.
So they're going to there'll be finger pointing, and it's going to be, boy, I'd like to be inside it right now.
Michelle, how powerful is that? I mean, as you're a defense attorney and you're sitting there having these, they were girls, now women, on the witness stand, pointing across the courtroom saying, she told me that if I came to this house, my college would be paid for, I'd get a car. And again, the defense attorney set up, we're going to talk about, they wanted money. These were money grubbing women or girls, that they've been manipulated, that the press has, spun this up to be what it was not. And so how do you defend it? It's tough.
I think it's really hard. As I said before, when they have to really take apart their testimony, and they have to attack their credibility. The question is, how do you do it? And how do you do it so that you're not re-victimizing them and creating more empathy, more sympathy for these women? And that's what they have to do. And it's going to be very tough to listen to, but they are going to have to absolutely disassemble everything that these girls said, or say, fine, yes, you did X, Y, and Z, but it was Jeffrey Epstein. It wasn't Miss Maxwell. No, you didn't have direct contact with Miss Maxwell. No, you had contact with other people. But again, the government's going to be saying this did not work without Miss Maxwell. She made it all work for Jeffrey Epstein.
When you were covering this at the granular level, Tim, and I want to get to that setup real quick in just a moment, but when you were covering it at the granular level, really following, being intrigued by these reports that were trickling in, and let me just pause and say, for those of you who are new to our audience, our viewing audience, this really galvanized this community, because there was an entire generation of young girls that a lot of the recruiting happened right here. And we're not talking about a few or a handful. If you go through the FBI archives of people who were interviewed, there were hundreds.
Well,
of
yeah,
girls.
60 in Royal Palm Beach at least, and that's just one little community.
Right. And a generation of young women out of Royal Palm Beach were really affected by this.
And typically lower middle class kids, and I don't mean that in any other way other than they didn't come from money.
Right.
And we're enticed over, want to give a rich guy a massage for $60, rub his feet, come over the bridge into this fabulous mansion. Mm-hmm. And he would take it from there with Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly saying, here's how it works. This is what he likes. I'm standing here, do this.
Did you see her in your cup? Because I know so much of that interest for you as a journalist.
I never have seen her. And it's funny, I live over there, and I know a lot of people who knew her and know her, and who are stunned by all of this, and they're pretty vocal about it. She was a real fixture, more in New York than Palm Beach. And he was not seen that much in Palm Beach. He was behind the big hedges most of the time, for obvious reasons.
Again, if you're new to this story, as we cover and we continue following this trial taking place in Manhattan today, Ghislaine Maxwell facing 6 counts. 4 women have come forward alleging that she was in some way, form, or fashion involved in building and recruiting for this human trafficking Ponzi scheme, if you will, that was international in nature. If you're just new to the community, let me take you back just a bit on how this kind of began. The story began to unfold, and it actually started with a tip that came in to WPTV News Channel 5 and my colleague Tim Malloy.
I remember this place.
This is where it all started.
It really is one of the nicest newsrooms I've ever seen.
It really is, isn't it?
The backstory, the behind the scenes that led to Filthy Rich.
It's good to have you back.
Tommy.
Tim Malloy, a former News Channel 5 anchor and investigative reporter.
It's over there.
You were over there.
Yeah, we did a bunch of stuff. Water.
Yeah, the water.
Cancer cluster a
Cancer.
little bit.
Yep.
Years later, Malloy
This all sort of started in the Palm Beach Grill, just chatting
and world-renowned author James Patterson would team up.
No, we can't do that chapter. That chapter, that's not going to work.
throw a eraser at
That'll
me.
never work.
The driving force behind Filthy Rich, a tell-all on Jeffrey Epstein.
Filthy Rich is about a billionaire arrested for molesting underage girls. He served just 13 months in prison. Me, I'd throw the book at him.
It really started right here in this newsroom.
Yeah, I was actually sitting at my desk and I'd gotten a call from a kid who said he was at Royal Palm Beach High School. And there was an older guy that the young girls were going to go give massages to.
The caller, Malloy remembers, said the teenage girls were traveling, often across the bridge to Palm Beach, to a mansion and being paid big money for their visits. But the caller suggested there was more going on inside that mansion than massages.
He was pretty emphatic and he said he'd call back and he didn't. I didn't take his name because he was a kid. And I started asking around in Palm Beach where I lived to a police officer friend. And he vaguely implied there was something up. But eventually I learned that there was a high-profile person they were looking at over there for something. And the implication was it was sexual.
Malloy started talking to everyone he knew on Palm Beach.
And then I found out kind of where it was. So I would drive by the house.
Malloy couldn't confirm it, but quietly there was a very active Palm Beach police probe of Epstein, one of the most secretive and well-connected men on the planet.
But it was somebody at the Post first got wind of an investigation, and I believe named him first. I immediately kicked myself and say, why wasn't it me? Because that's what we do when we don't get the story ahead of somebody else. But then it kicked into, wow. I'd actually seen him around town at a restaurant or two. I used to see him riding bicycles with young girls over near the Colony Hotel.
And did that fuel it for you? Did that
Well,
fuel
yeah,
it?
because you just knew that this wasn't one or two victims. One or two victims would have been enough, but you knew it was something bigger than that. I mean, and of course it ended up being on an industrial scale. There was this tick-tock to it, and we got to stop them now. And of course, I was aware of that. Yeah, it's like trying to grab somebody before they go off a ledge. Don't let this happen to this kid, you know.
Epstein, with homes not just on Palm Beach, but in New York, New Mexico, and the Virgin Islands, was now facing a string of serious charges in Palm Beach County. He was in town often, fending off the allegations, everything from illicit acts on a child to molestation. Malloy wasn't the only one tracking the jet-setting billionaire.
John Connolly was an investigative reporter for Vanity Fair, and a great one. He had called me because he had, I guess, vaguely heard that I was doing stuff, and then we became good buddies. And he knew a lot about Jeffrey because he'd been sort of watching him forever. So John was into the forensics of this thing and the finance. He was a lawyer and a former New York City detective who became a writer. I ended up interviewing him a few times during this case, put him on our air here, your air, Channel 5.
In fact, Malloy remembers well. It was right here in our studio, anchoring a newscast, when he had his first brush with what many called the intimidating and dark side of Jeffrey Epstein.
We were just talking about being a much younger, more youthful
Sorry, it's
state,
okay. Sorry, it
and when
happens.
we were doing that coverage. But basically, what happened was he touched down and called you while you were on the set,
Yeah.
and demanded to speak to you while you were on the air.
Yeah, we were, and Shannon, incidentally, just quickly, had a lot to do with covering this as well. I had an earpiece in because I was anchoring the news, as you do when you anchor the news, and the producer, was it Bill, one of the guys who said, Jeffrey Epstein wants to talk to you. I'm sitting there in a commercial break saying, I'm on anchoring, what does he want? And I won't use the language he used, but it was basically, he wants you to get your helicopter away from his airplane.
Because you were shooting with the
He
lens
didn't want
off
to have
the
his video
helicopter.
taken, and of course, we got great video of him because he was never seen, and we stuck with him. That was just fine with us.
And again, you didn't see Ghislaine Maxwell necessarily with him. So Michelle Suskauer, bringing you back into this as we kind of piece this together for our audience. Again, we have so many new folks who've moved to our community in the last year or two. So we want to bring them up to speed on what has transpired in our community and how this plays a very relevant, part of the landscape of the news landscape here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast, South Florida. That really this plays out in the courtroom. Ghislaine Maxwell, that may be one of the defense's strategies, is to say she was rarely seen with him. How is that a play?
Absolutely. It's minimizing her role in all of this. She didn't know, she only did so much, but he took it from there and went so much further. And that, Jeffrey Epstein lied to her. I mean, again, her defense is going to, be able to throw out as much as they possibly can. And Jeffrey Epstein cannot answer. So, any conversations that if the court permits it, that she's allowed to express if she testifies or if other witnesses that she wants to use, again, pointing the finger directly at Jeffrey Epstein, at anyone else, hurting the credibility of the girls the women that are going to come in, which is just 4 out of a tremendously large number. And that's what she's going to do.
Would it be pushing the envelope too far for them to actually suggest Stockholm syndrome? Yes, she loved him. He betrayed her. And then she fell under his captivating spell because he was quite a charming guy, apparently. I can't imagine it, but apparently he was. I mean, is that a play too, possibly?
Sure. Or again, were they I believe in a relationship, at least at some point.
14 years.
And she loved him. She would do whatever he would say. Again, trying to minimize her responsibility and knowledge of everything that he was doing because she had blinders on and basically was manipulated to do whatever he told her to do. Is the jury going to buy that? I don't know.
Larry Vysotsky was Epstein's longtime pilot. He was on the stand yesterday as they wrapped the day, and then again
today,
this morning.
Yeah.
And coming out of that, you were struck by what?
Well, he was the captain of the 727 Jeffrey Epstein flew around the world with, everybody in it, and including young women. And I want to ask Michelle eventually about the Mann Act, because they apparently were taking girls to an island outside this country. Mm-hmm. Anyway, how much did Vysotsky know? And he said he had no idea other than the celebrities who were on the plane, which, I'm not an attorney, but I've been flown private maybe twice in my life, but everybody in a private plane knows who's getting on. They have flight logs, manifests, and he would know who these people were. So I wonder if that's a pretty thin testimony, or whether that hurt them or helped them. He was a defense witness, or was he a prosecution witness? I'm sorry, I should know that.
The pilot is a government witness.
Yeah, government. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's
right. And but again, how do you look? It's how big is the plane? Who's coming on, who's coming off. People talk. And it would be hard to believe that he didn't see something that was going on. You bringing young girls, young teenagers to a variety of different locations, including his private island in the Caribbean. Come on.
I wonder how much good that would do. I saw nothing. I just don't buy it, frankly.
No, I agree.
Because we can all sit here and say what we think, but what do you think about this jury and what you know about them, Michelle? I mean, are they going to buy that? It's hard.
I don't know what has been released about this jury, and I haven't seen the breakdown, and that's something that we can talk about moving forward at another time. But I don't believe that they're releasing these jurors' names. They're keeping so much confidential in terms of protecting them. But again, you don't leave your common sense at the door when you're a juror. You're asking, do not prejudge, but you still are coming to a case with your own life experiences, your intelligence, and this jury has been vetted. So from hundreds and hundreds of individuals who, may have had pre-existing biases. So again, what's realistic? What are they going to believe and what are they not going to believe?
So they moved on from Vysotsky, and then they began calling and I keep calling them girls, they are now women.
Yes.
But we refer to them as such because the alleged abuse took place when they were as young as 14 years old. I believe the first person on the stand was 14, she said.
Yeah, Michelle will know too. Jane Doe, number one, is the first one to testify between the ages of 14 and 16. She said she was repeatedly molested by Epstein and also by Ghislaine Maxwell in New Mexico and in New York City. So there's your powerful testimony coming right out of the blocks.
And that's right. And that's who you're going to start with right away. You're going to start with your strongest testimony, your strongest witnesses. You're not going to start with someone who's iffy and on the fence and is able to, have lots of holes punched in their testimony. You're going to start with your strong witnesses, and you're going to have that 1-2 punch right away. And then you're going to end that way as well. And that's their trial strategy, because that's, primacy. You're going to start with your strongest. And if that's their strongest out of 4, that's who they're starting with.
So you said that was Jane Doe number 1?
One, yeah.
And then who are we expecting next?
I think
Tim?
it's 3 more, right, Michelle, at least?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And they'll pepper it. But again, remember, 6 weeks, and this judge runs a very tight ship, and she's going to be going, although there's breaks during the day, they could be going for 5-6 hours a day at least in order to get through everything, and giving this jury breaks as well, and giving the lawyers breaks as well. There's going to, so that's who, I guess, only 4. But that's the best that they have, and that's who they're using in order to convict her.
It was very telling, and to your point, Michelle, about running a tight ship, this judge, there were a number of times that Ghislaine Maxwell's legal team ran at this judge and asked for her to have bail set. There were, of course, the dismissal, was right out of the gate, and that was denied, of course, but because of the preponderance of the evidence that was presented. But then this bail or, what have you, and it was all denied. He said, no, you're going to stay under lock and key until we get this done.
Oh, well, absolutely. Because, I believe they found her in New England, right? Yeah. Did they find her in New Hampshire?
They found her in New Hampshire.
And so it certainly wasn't that she was broadcasting who she was or where she was in hiding. And so based on her resources, they felt that she was a significant flight risk based on what she'd be facing, which is the rest of her life in prison if she's found guilty. They kept her in. And so I don't think it was outrageous or unreasonable to do so. Certainly her family wanted her out, but, they did not feel that it was safe for her to get out so that she would actually come in and face the music and face the charges. So they've kept her in since 2020.
She's got 3 passports, English, French, and U.S. She's got at least $25 million. She was married to a guy. I don't know where that went. I want to quickly ask you a question about the attorneys. Mm-hmm. There's a guy, Everdell, who I believe was the guy, he was a prosecutor, federal prosecutor, went after El Chapo. That's one of her defense attorneys. I may be wrong. I think I'm right. And quickly, another guy, a Denver attorney, Puglioso, I think his name is. When we were writing the book 6 years ago, he was after us, James Patterson and myself, about you better not libel her. This goes back 6 years.
Wow.
So she's been lawyered up. Michelle, I want to ask you about this. You got to figure she's had lawyers working on this since Jeffrey died, or maybe even longer.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this does not come as a shock to her that she was going to be on the radar. As soon as these girls were interviewed, these women were interviewed, her name is out there. You all have been showing multiple photographs of the 2 of them together, photographs of not only the 2 of them alone, but photographs of very notable folks where she's in the picture. So this is not new or strange. So she's had lawyers who were in the protection business to make sure that, that she was, and hopefully, to try not to have her indicted. Obviously, that did not work. She was indicted. But, you certainly when Jeffrey Epstein is under the radar, you are going in and you're potentially meeting with the government in the hopes to maybe not get indicted or to minimize the damage to you. So I don't have any information that absolutely happened. I'm just guessing based on my experience. That's what you do in order to try to avoid being indicted here. But there was no avoiding it. And she was and has been in custody since 2020.
Let's talk about the charges. She's facing 70 years if convicted. Is that correct? 70 years, yes. I believe, is what.
Right. The rest of her life.
Let's talk. Yes. Let's talk about those charges. Michelle, walk us through them.
Sure. So she's charged with 6 counts, I believe. One of them is enticement of a minor to commit criminal sex acts, transportation of a minor, a sex trafficking charge, and 3 counts of conspiracy. So any one of those convictions she would be facing a significant amount of time in prison. But all together, back to back to back, she's facing the rest of her life in prison. And so the government has to prove each of these charges. They have to prove every element of every charge, and they have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense does not have to prove anything. They don't have to put on any witnesses. They don't have to say a word. The burden is 100% on the government, and it's the government in this case because it's a federal case as opposed to a prosecutor or state attorney, but they're the same. It's the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York that is prosecuting her.
Michelle, everybody asked me because of this book I did with Mr. Patterson, and just because I've covered it, does she have any bargaining chips? And if she does, can that work? How much could she cut off a sentence? Or have we heard the names of all the high-profile people who may or may not have been involved? Most of them not. Do you think that it's hard for you to crystal ball this? Do you think they got some names they can play for less time?
I think the time has come and gone for that.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I do. I look, nothing is done and over until the jury comes back and the verdict is read. Pleas can happen, but they want her. They want her. And they want her convicted, and they want her to spend the rest of her life in prison. But I would think that the time has come and gone for her to play that hand.
Interesting. They didn't get Jeffrey. Jeffrey checked out. I mean, they got him, but they didn't get what they wanted from Jeffrey.
Right.
They wanted
They
the
need, but
come out. Yeah.
And that's what and that's part of the defense. You couldn't get Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide, and you are using Miss Maxwell as a scapegoat. That's one of the main driving points of this defense. It's him you wanted, and it's not, and this is sort of second best. And, and that's what they're going to say.
Tim, you've been page by page through the detailed police reports from the Palm Beach Police. I mean, every single painful detail. It really was painful to read those police reports, the interviews of the young women, the teenagers at the time. And you flipped through the black book.
Yeah, actually, I had it.
You had the black book.
There were copies floating around.
And so, Michelle, you're saying there you don't see, looking forward, a window here that this isn't going so well. This is, we're very, we're going to lose in the final hours, that she could come through and say, I'll turn on all these folks.
They could. Things can happen. It could happen. However, I just think that the time, it's not like she just had the names now. I mean, she's known who's been involved for as many years as this has been going on. And so why wouldn't that have happened already? So I just think that it's too late now. They want to prosecute her. But again, crazier things have happened. This is a crazy case, as Tim knows, as you know, Shannon. Things can happen, but I just think that time is probably come and gone. They've impaneled this jury. They've started this case. They have a very strong case, the government, and they want her, and they want to have some closure, for, if possible, for these victims.
So just to take it a sillier step even further, could there be a videotape of somebody out there that they could? You guys have discovery, so that both sides have to know what's coming, right? There's not going to be a surprise, dramatic movie ending to this thing with somebody walking in with a videotape or pictures of somebody.
I don't think so. No, I think that this is what it is. You have these girls. They believe that they're incredible. These women, that they're credible. They putting all the pieces together. This is how this worked. This is how the trafficking scheme worked. This is how the pyramid scheme worked. And that Ms. Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, was an integral part at making this all work.
Your final thoughts, Tim, as we wind down.
Well, after writing this book and covering it, I thought I'd never want to talk about this guy again, but I'm fascinated by this case, and I'm not proclaiming her innocent or guilty, but you're going to see some drama in the next 6 weeks. And the fact, as you said at the top, the fact that these women who were girls, some of them 12 years old, get to say something finally, and the world hears it, is really maybe the most important thing here.
Right. That their voice is being heard inside a courtroom, not communicated through the press.
Right.
But they're in a court of law, and that they're able to tell their story, however this plays out. That is significant. unbelievable moment in and of itself. Michelle, your final thoughts as we go to close.
I want to hear from the girls, the women. I want to see. I want to see. I think it's incredibly brave when to come into court to tell these painful stories. But I'm jury trials are. You never know what happens. There's no rhyme and reason. We can't get into the heads of these 12 jurors. So I'm fascinated, as the rest of the world is as well.
Michelle Suskauer, appreciate your time. My colleague,
my pleasure.
Tim Malloy.
Nice to see you again, Michelle.
And
You
thanks
too.
to all of you in the audience who've joined us, jumped in. We are reading some of your comments. Some of them aren't appropriate to share. You can see them in the column. We'll go back and take a peek at, but we have been watching him stream in, and many of you, concurring in one way or another, or
it's nice to see
dissenting,
people involved.
which is really, we appreciate the feedback, and thanks so much for joining us. We will continue our gavel to gavel coverage of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial taking place in Manhattan right now. We'll continue that coverage on air on WPTV News Channel 5 beginning at 5. But thank you so much once again for joining us for this special StreamYard edition of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial in New York. Good afternoon.